Ashley Heiderbrecht with the Diversity and Resiliency Institute of El Paso, and today I'm here with Institute Fellow Jennifer Dahlgren-Richardson, and we're going to be talking about intersectionality.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Dahlgren-Richardson, and I work full-time at the El Paso Community College as a professor in the interpreting training program, as well as I am a board member of the Borderland Rainbow Center. Also, I run deaf services from the BRC. I identify as deaf, queer, and my pronouns are they, them, and their.
Thank you, Jennifer, for introducing yourself. So, like I said, we're going to be talking about intersectionality, and so I have a few questions for you about that topic. So, people have a tendency to latch on to whatever they view as the most prominent identifying factor about a person. So, as a queer deaf person, would you say that most often people focus on your deaf identity over your queer identity?
Yes, 100%. Really, it depends where I am. And so anytime I'm with hearing people, in general, the general public really, I am deaf. And I believe that the society's model of disability, because I'm not disabled, but society disables me. And so the hearing public, for hearing people, they can't fathom, they can't understand that I can also be queer and deaf. The only thing they see is my deafness. And they also don't view that as an identity or a cultural identity. They think it's a disability. And so it's very often that I can't be deaf and queer. When I am with other deaf people, I feel very queer because I'm with deaf people, and so that becomes a minority, the queerness.
Yeah. I'm curious, do you think that because in society we often view people who are disabled as kind of being infantilized? We view them as being childish, and so often when people are disabled, they're not thought of to have a sexuality or sexual orientation. And so since society views the deaf community as being disabled, do you think that that's partly where that comes from?
I think part of that is, yes, that they can't understand that deaf people live full, worthy lives, and so they can't just think of that, and they don't understand how I wake up in the morning, or they don't understand how I drive, or they don't understand how I raise my kids. So they can't, just fathom the idea that I want to have sex sometimes, or that I have identities related to gender. They just can't think, they can't wrap their heads around that.
So do you often feel like because of some of those social misunderstandings about deaf culture and queer culture, do you feel like you're often forced to choose one identity over the other?
Yes, 100%. For example, if I want to go to the doctor, I fight for communication access, and so I don't have the option to explain my pronouns or to explain my identity or choose any of that. I have to fight to get access to the doctor and to get qualified interpreters. There's no option to discuss, gender identity or any other part of my identity. And so I'm forced to deal with communication access as it relates to my deafness, because society doesn't prepare you for it, or rather is not trained for how to communicate with deaf people, period, and so they don't see the intersectionality of deaf culture or deaf people.
Mm-hmm. How often do you think you have the opportunity to be fully present in both your deaf and queer identities?
I am 38 years old, and I think that's happened, that I'm deaf and queer at the same time, maybe about 3 times in my life. Recently, I went to a really large deaf conference. There were hundreds of deaf leaders there, and I was with other queer deaf people at a gay bar. We went and we just sat around. We weren't just. I was speechless because I was just so overwhelmed and so thrilled because to be with all of my kind of people, you know what I mean? And so we talked about things like language, and I was able to speak in my language and use ASL and understand each other and share our struggles with other deaf queer people, you know what I mean? So really, it was a magical time when that happened.
So when that does happen in those moments, how do you feel compared to other times when situations or circumstances created by others force you to choose between one or the other?
I think both being forced to choose and being able to be free are overwhelming. When I am with deaf queer people, I feel almost scared because I don't know that experience really. I don't know how to navigate that, and so it happens very rarely, so I'm just in shock. I'm so excited that I'm just frozen in place, and we talk about everything and nothing at the same time. We just go all over the place, and so it's very exciting and thrilling to see people that share the same experience. And so, but also it's overwhelming when you're forced to choose one or the other. So sometimes I don't want to be deaf, or I don't want to be queer. I just want to be a person, like a queer mom, or I take my kids to school or to the doctor, and I don't want to have to handle or deal with all the obstacles related to my cultures. I don't want to, deal with those obstacles relating to me being a queer mom. I just want to go support my kids. You know what I mean? So when I'm forced to choose either or, it's really just kind of disheartening, or you just have this feeling inside because you feel that I have to pick something to be something or prioritize something when I am just a human with intersectionality in general, and so I feel it really feels icky.
Yeah, and it's sad to me as a person who's not part of either of those communities to know that you experience that kind of pressure and like pulling feeling inside, and that really it's created by other people's feeling like they need to maintain their own comfort at the expense of another person. And that kind of interaction has become so normal that for people who aren't part of a marginalized group, they don't even realize that they're doing it. And they have no idea the feeling that comes with it for the person that's on the receiving end.
Yeah, I think that marginalized people are really resilient because every day there are obstacles that come about and microaggressions that come about every day, and so we become resilient. And so sometimes I can't just go about my day and just roll with the punches, but sometimes during the day I'm just over it. I don't want to do it anymore, and people, society in general, they have no idea the little things that like pronouns or talking to me, not my interpreter. Those are little things that really make a change in the day, and that day can start with that. When the day starts with an obstacle like that, it feels difficult.
So that kind of brings me to my next question. For you, what is the most difficult thing about navigating life as a member of two marginalized and discriminated groups?
One thing that I'm really lucky about is my deaf culture, and deaf culture is very open, very welcoming. we welcome queer people very much so, and so that part of it, I'm really fortunate to be able to socialize with other deaf people that experience a lot of discrimination and stuff like that. And so the tough part for me is really maintaining my self-esteem when other people try to bring it down on a daily basis. And so I wake up in the morning having a good day, looking forward to my day. You know, I'm excited to teach. I'm excited to come to work at the center. I stopped at Starbucks, and the lady tells me, "Oh, yesterday you had makeup on. You look so pretty, and today you look sad. Are you sick?" I'm like, So myself, I have to, just kind of put that aside and continue and look forward, remain positive, and go through the day. And so when that happens all day, every day, it really gets tough to maintain your self-worth and self-esteem and confidence when society in general just tells you all day, every day, that you're not worth it, or that you're not like other people, or like other humans, or that you are required to be more, you're required to conform. And so it's hard to maintain that level of self-care, the level of self-confidence that the world is constantly pushing on you or forcing on you.
You do play a really big role in the El Paso deaf community. As a deaf queer person, what challenges do you encounter being part of that community while at the same time serving that community?
That's, I think, really a powerful question for anyone who is a marginalized person working for the same marginalized group. I see myself as any one of our clients, that they come in for services, and so I see myself in them. And so I always think, well, what if I didn't have support, or what if that was me, or what if, all these what ifs come up. And so it's specifically tough for me seeing senior citizen patients or clients. Like, what if my children don't take care of me? Who's going to advocate for me, or who's going to become my Jennifer to help me fight these, challenges and obstacles that come about for me. So doing individual care with clients it's a really big challenge for me, because I see myself in every person. And so it's recall trauma. I recall different traumas if I'm talking with a deaf client and they tell me a story about not having an interpreter. For example, I was working with a client and they went to the emergency room for their children and they didn't provide an interpreter. So I had to work to advocate, and but the whole time in the back of my mind I was thinking, when I have to take my son to the emergency room and they didn't provide me an interpreter, what I felt like and how I dealt with it. And so I feel like I have a dual I have to have dual attention with these clients, because I'm focusing on them while at the same time handling my own experience and my own trauma. And I have to separate those, and I have to deal with that client or help that client. And once I finish with that client, I have to take care of myself as well, and provide myself the opportunity to, let myself continue with the work and then relive that trauma and then handle it so I can deal with or help with the next client. So yeah, it's really tough providing individual care.
So in El Paso, there's a pretty severe lack of services for the deaf community and for the LGBTQ plus community. So being the primary resource for the deaf community while also being active at the only LGBTQ plus center in the area, How do you manage to provide such intense community support and still maintain any boundaries at all?
Oh, I suck at boundaries. Yeah, I'm just going to tell you that right now. Clients call me at 3 in the morning. I run to jail to help, or to the hospital, or, so again, because this work is so personal and so private for myself as well, because I'm not only helping one person, I'm helping fix the system. So when the next person goes to jail, or if it's me, if I go to the doctor, or I'm helping myself too. So that's really me being selfish in a way. But also I think because I live this life every day, I see the need. I see the need and I experience it firsthand, and so I have more privilege than many other deaf people, but I believe because we're only 5 minutes. I'm only like 5 minutes from becoming a customer, a client, and so I help when I can, and I believe that all of us have gifts and talents and skills that we can give back. So maybe you can't give and donate in money, or maybe you can't write a grant, but maybe specific things, or you have a specific skill set that you can give back to help the community as a whole, to grow together and to to improve together.
What do you think it would mean to you as a community advocate if there was more support in the community, if there was a deaf center, or if there was more support for the queer community? How would that change your life?
There would be such a weight off my shoulders if, everywhere I go, I am advocating, working, promoting, going to Starbucks, I'm teaching the lady about pronouns and about sign language, and so if I go to a doctor or go to the mall, I'm teaching, I'm training, I'm, interacting with these people, and I think I would like to have more support. It would be great to have more support and more services, a bigger center really for deaf people, and more support for the queer community as well, and I think it would reduce the burden that so many of our leaders feel.
What do you think is the most important for social service providers and mental health providers to understand about intersectionality, especially regarding marginalized groups?
I think it's important to be aware of what you don't know. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to say, I don't know. It's okay to say, I'm sorry, I messed up. The authority on that client's intersectionality is themselves, and not you, not the provider. And so it's okay to ask questions and to ask help from the client, from the consumer. And so you can provide the best and most competent services that you're able to, knowing that sometimes you don't know 100%. It's okay to say, I'm sorry, I don't know. Please help me. That's okay, and being aware that you don't know everything. Only because you read one book, or if you see a TV show or read an article, doesn't mean that you become the authority on deaf people or the authority on queer people, because really it's combining multiple identities in one person, and each person has a unique experience. So it's okay to ask and embrace your I don't know.
So is there any other advice you can think of to give providers or people in the community that offer support to marginalized groups?
Yes, I think the biggest thing you can do, whether you're a social worker, a doctor, an interpreter, a nurse, a community member, an advocate, is becoming an ally. And really listening to those marginalized stories and experiences. Yes, read the books. Yes, watch the TV show. But find the people themselves and listen to their stories, and give them a safe space and the support, so that they can tell their stories. And through listening, and I tell you, it's hard. It's going to be hard to listen to the hurt, to listen to to see the tears, and but really opening up and listening to that and empathizing will change your life. It will help you become more a more compassionate provider. And I think for all of us, regardless of the field that you're in, you can become a professional listener, so that you can learn to listen without interrupting, and being, just open-hearted and open-minded. Give a listening ear, and being able to hear all the unique experiences, and just taking them in so you can become a better ally.
Jennifer, thank you so much for taking some time to answer these questions. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate your insight and your willingness to be candid and open about your own experiences. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.